What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Real Build. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder, and today I got a special guest in the studio with me. The very first guest in the studio, too, man. So that right there is an honor in itself, man. I'm excited to have this guy, Andrew Regenhard. Welcome to The Real Build. How you doing, man?
It's my honor. I'm excited for this. This is going to be the best episode so far because it is the first. So.
No, I'm excited to have you, man, because we have a lot to talk about. You are killing it with Real Producers. There's so much to what you're doing, value to not just real estate agents and professionals, but to outside vendors as well, and forming relationships. So really want to get into that today, is the importance. Like, I've always seen relationships with realtors as a huge plus. They drive a lot of our business too. I know a lot of great realtors, especially on Marco Island. We get referrals all the time too. Now I'm trying to get more in Naples. Shout out to you realtors out here. But before we get into it, Jay, let's kick it off. The Real Build is about building better culture, leaders, visionaries, community to better serve the client. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder, and I'm here to showcase real business owners building companies with integrity, trust, and a commitment to making a positive impact. Join us as we explore their stories, insights, and strategies for success. With that being said, welcome to The Real Build. So getting into this, before we get into the topic today, let's hear a little bit about you. So who is Andrew?
It's a good question. Still figuring it out every day. Well, I'm born and raised up in Wisconsin, so Midwest, like most people, not from here in Naples. And I came down here in 2019. Prior to arriving here in Naples, I went to school up in the North Dakota at the University of North Dakota. And everything I did prior to coming down here was aviation. So I'm a pilot and taught people to fly, so CFI. I had the opportunity to work for a contracting company where I would deploy with them. Flew different military aircrafts, and I would deploy overseas. And it was a huge life eye-opening experience, to say the least. I went from a college kid, right, to a young adult pretty much overnight when I arrived in, places like Afghanistan and whatnot. So maturity just happened really, really quick in that sense. And it also showed me kind of what I didn't want in life. I was deploying all the time. One of my deployment was 14 months long. So you can imagine the toll it takes on relationships, friends, family, different things like that. So fast forward, I did that for a while, and my parents were down here, and my mom and dad were down here, and my dad wasn't doing so good. He had some health issues and terminal, and it started getting pretty bad. And so I made that decision, came down here, actually down on Marco, where my parents originally built on, and then they sold that because my dad went into a memory care unit, and that's how I got down here. So it's been a journey. I'm married, no kids, a couple dogs. So that's who I am.
Love it, man. Let's fast forward now to Real Producers, coming from your background and now starting a magazine, being a publisher. Like, how does that come to life?
Kind of like you went aviation to publishing. It doesn't mesh, right? There's no handoff there. So, when I made the decision to come down here, I ultimately didn't have a play. Like, I didn't have a solid game plan yet, because I was coming down here to be with my father and enjoy as much time as I could with him, help my mom through the process. So I reached out and I was chatting with my friends, and one of my buddy runs the franchise out in Dallas. And so that's how I stumbled upon Real Producers franchise. And that's how I learned about it. Now, I've always been intrigued about real estate because when I was in Afghanistan, places like that, I listened to a ton of podcasts myself. And one of the biggest ones that I absorbed almost everything I could was Bigger Pockets, which is all about utilizing real estate as, to become financially free. And so I was always intrigued about it, but I never knew my avenue or how to get involved. And so the long and short of that is that's kind of how I heard about it. I came down here in 2019. I said, what's the worst going to happen? I put all my eggs in the basket of let's figure this out and become an entrepreneur. And I started it up, building some relationships, and officially launched the business on March 1st, the first publication came out of 2020. So
awesome, man.
COVID, yeah.
Well, talk about too, for people that don't know what Real Producers is, like, what is it? Obviously it's a magazine, but there's more to it. So talk a little bit about that.
So the best way to explain Real Producers is a network platform, utilizing a magazine, private events, online, kind of the whole gamut, if you would say. And what it is, it's about bringing the best of the best in real estate together. Is really what it is. And you mentioned it already in the intro, it's about relationships, right? Relationships drive everything. It's, at the end of the day, the famous line, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And my mom instilled that into me. She's been HR, corporate America for a long time, and she always said that. And as a kid, I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, right." And she'd say, "Oh, meet that professor, meet that," and I did it, but I never understood how important it was. And that right there is what Real Producers is about. Yes, we use traditional marketing, we use traditional branding, we use traditional advertisement, we use traditional events where you can shake hands and get to know people, right? That is all true, and those are staples in growing your brand and awareness. But it's also who's in the room. And that's the big difference on what Real Producers is I love all agents, don't get me wrong, but one of the things that sets us apart is we go off of volume and success from what these agents are achieving. And so we see the numbers that are being performed, and we deal with the top 500 agents specifically, and each year they have to earn that spot. So it's not just a given spot. It's not just something that any agent can come to or receive some mags or be featured or anything like that. They have to hit a certain threshold, and they have to be within that top 500 each year to be a part of Real Producers.
I've been a part of Real Producers now as an agent. I got invited, and now as a vendor too. I want to go into that importance of that as that agent relationship with vendors too, because contractors. I don't think contractors are very good at networking. Not all of them. Right. Some are, but I don't know if they see the importance of that agent relationship as well. Like, I see it because we get a lot of business from very successful agents. We built good relationships with them. They know we're going to take care of their clients too when building a luxury home. So talk about that connection that you're doing there as well. It's not just for that top 500, because we know realtors are competitive. They all get in a room together. They're, I don't know how many secrets they're sharing with each other, but you also have a lot of vendors, great contractors, great mortgage guys, great insurance agents, stuff like that you're bringing along into that room. So talk about that.
So you hit the nail on the head in the sense, you talked about how that the relationships that you have with the agents is so successful and so impactful to your business. But that also probably happened over spans of years or maybe even decades, right? Obviously, you guys have a great name in town and been doing it for a long time. And so that's a huge thing. Now, some of these contractors might not know, or some of these vendors or businesses might not understand the impact of what these agents have on the businesses, and that's the biggest thing. When you said chat about who's in the room, well, there's kind of three different scenarios, right? First of all, we're connecting the top agents together. So there's top agents and best businesses, vendors like yourself, and businesses that are looking to grow in the real estate community. Well, relationships can form from agent to agent, right? Because if a top agent has a listing, you have a buyer, great. They're both getting paid. They're putting food on the table. They're happy, right? So that right there is amazing. They get value there. The second thing is vendor to vendor, okay? Obviously, you build some beautiful homes, right? You have some different contractors, subcontractors, people. You might need to call on an insurance guy when it gets closed to be able to blah, 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 right? Get the deal done. So vendor to vendor is a huge thing. But the biggest thing is the agents to vendors. And that's where, everyone forgets it's like a football team. The agent's the quarterback, but without the rest of the team, they're not going to do very good, right? So they can figure out what the client needs and helps, but they're going to need the lender usually in a lot of situations, not all, obviously, a lot of cash down here in Collier. they're going to need title. They're going to need attorneys. They're going to need probably an inspection, unless it's the wild, wild west of COVID, right? And, it's all these different things to get to the finish line of closing that deal for their client, right? And so they are a lot of, unfortunately, and fortunately, depends on how you look at it, they're the gatekeeper to all of that. And they're also the gatekeeper to so many relationships. People forget how many people these single individual agents know, right? They might know 100 people or deal with 100 potential buyers or sellers in a given year at least, right? If not a lot more, right? So they are the gatekeeper to all those people. And so from a business, a lot of times, I don't understand a lot of marketing and stuff like that. If you're going to take, let's say a flyer and you're going to send it out to 10,000 homes and you're going to do that, great branding and stuff. But you also have to understand is they're getting all that other stuff where if you have a great relationship with the agent and that person says, hey, agent, who should I use? And they refer it, that's so much more impactful, right? And so it depends on, it's just, you're trying to get to the ultimate same client. It's just which route are you going to take to get there?
And I think the benefit of what you're doing too is you're bringing in good, reputable people. Am I correct? It's not just Joe from the street that just bought a pickup truck and just started a company, construction company with no experience. It's more people with experience that are doing good work, that are trustworthy individuals.
So that's exactly it. If I wanted to, quote unquote, grow the business and fill up the business or fill up the spots and all the ads and different things like that, I'd call the mortgage companies in town and I'd fill it all up in 2 seconds, realistically, right? But we don't do that. We actually don't cold call. We don't reach out to any business. What we do is we ask the top agents, who do they trust and who do they work with? And that's how we get everyone. Obviously, you're working with some top agents. You have a great name in town. And that's how our partners come into Real Producers. So I sit down with the agents. We hear their stories. We get to feature them within the publication. They use it for marketing. All that's great. But then I also ask them, I say, who is your top lender? Who is your trusted title? Who's your inspector? Who's your builder? Who's your handyman? And it's who's the best in the industry? And how do we help those people get together to build more relationship?
Talk about too, because this is important, is I don't think it's in some people's mind, okay, they can go to one of your events, and if they're a vendor and they can just say, okay, I'm going to get business from this, but what's it take to actually get business? I want to touch on this because it's I think you have to give to receive. That's how that's how I go about life. I'm sure you're the same way. You can't just take, right? You can't just show up to one of these events and be like, all right, you're going to use me as your builder. You're going to use me too. And you're going to use me too. Nice to meet you, by the way.
Right.
So talk about that a little bit and what you recommend a contractor or a mortgage guy or any of these people that are going to your events or that are invited there, like how to create better relationships with real estate agents.
It's really, really simple. It's first of all, be a person, be a human, right? Like they look at this event and they get intimidated, and I don't blame them. We have, a ton of people in the room, and the amount of transactions and volume that's completed in a given year from the people that are in that room is astronomical. It's in the billions, right? And so if you're a business owner, obviously, yes, it's very intimidating. But no one wants to get pitched to, right? These are I always joke it's like fishing, right? These are whales. I mean, these are monster fish, right, that you're trying to catch. They've seen all the bait. They've gone through life already, and they've grown to the size that they are. So you have to go in and you have to be a real person. You have to chat with them. You have to ask them questions. Everyone forgets, don't talk about yourself, talk about them, right? And then just see what value you can present to them. Being a part of Real Producers is something from a value standpoint. We don't charge the agents to be featured. It's supported by our partners. So that's already one step you're taking, is by supporting the organization where they're able to show up to, they're able to be featured and stuff like that. They appreciate that. And then you continue on that, right? And you continue. There's the book, right? It's Jab, Jab, Hook, right? And so it's like, how many jabs are you gonna be able to do till you get that hook, right? It's sometimes a lot.
Yeah.
And people just usually give up before they get to that point where they can reap the rewards. Obviously, your business, we'll use an example for, right? You're gonna pour into relationships. You're gonna probably go out and do lots of bids. You're gonna meet with a lot of clients. And they're not gonna use you, right? It's just part of business, right? And people get so defeated and they get so down. And if you look at it like that, of course you're gonna be defeated. But also, you should run your numbers, and you should know if for every 10 no's, I get a yes. So you should be really happy when you get a no, because you're one closer to a yes, right? And so just remember that every single time you go out there, just keep adding value, keep adding value, keep adding value, and it will come back tenfold.
It goes into the trust factor too. I mean, you have to create trust with people. You know, that's the number one factor. I've talked about that in the past, of the importance of people trusting you and then building those relationships from there. I mean, if somebody, you walk up and you're at one of your events and you just walked up to somebody and you're sloppy looking, you're sloppy talking, and you just expect something, they're not going to trust you. And why would they use you, right? So, and I think the connections at these events too, and the power of the connections, it turns into almost like a matchmaking type deal. Like, I met at your last event, I met a lady, Nayan, her name is, I'm sure you know her. She's with Clive Daniel Home, and she's the ultimate networker. You know, she's always at every event. She's been great for us and talking with us. And actually, I met, the reason, because of her, I hired a recent employee too, that Nayan was best friends with her mom. They went to events together, and then we hired Mackenzie. So it's just crazy how, actually it's not crazy, I'm a big believer, and it's a man upstairs, but it's the dynamics of all this stuff. If you really work the room, it's not, I don't want to call it work the room, because that's a bad way to put it, but really, you know, utilize the space and talk to people and just get to know people and put your guard down. I mean, the sky can be the limit. It's like you said, for every 10 no's, you're going to get a yes eventually. And
I mean, you are right when you say work the room. It's kind of, I guess you'd say, maybe a little cliche when you think about it, because you're supposed to be organic and you're supposed to be authentic and all these other things. But you also have to be intentional, right? Yeah. Like when I go to an event, I'm trying to do is, let's say, as much research as I can, be as prepared as I can. I mean, obviously, you know, the whole, oh, you should have an elevator pitch. Well, you still do need to know how to speak on what you're doing, because if you fumble, like you said, if you're fumbling and you can't even speak and you can't talk about what you do, why would they even trust you, right? Why would they give you, in a sense, to their client, right? Because that's what they're doing. They're passing you on. So think about the room you're going to be in, and then come up with some questions, because, okay, my job is to go talk with people. My job is to socialize. My job is to meet people and build relationships. So I've had a lot of practice at it. But maybe you're really good at building cabinetry. You're not good at building relationships. That's fine. In your head, have 5 questions. Figure it out. Use ChatGPT. I don't care, okay? But just be prepared when you go in it. Like, at our events, we do some things that are a little bit different to try to break the ice or help out. Is we put their name. If they're a top agent, their lanyard's white. It says agent. It says their name. You know, for vendors, it's blue, and it has your name and your business. So right away, you can be, oh, that's an agent, and I recognize the name or something like that. So it can kind of help versus just going up to a circle. But at the end of the day, you're going to be super uncomfortable, and being uncomfortable is when you grow in every facet of life, right? If it's faith, if it's at the gym, or it's in your business, right? When you're uncomfortable, you're growing.
I think every time I've gotten uncomfortable, I've seen the growth right after it too, whether it's speaking on stage. I mean, doing stuff like this. I mean, I sucked at this 5 years ago.
Me too.
I don't even want to listen to my first episode, man. I can only imagine. But it's stepping in and just doing it. I hated networking. Like, I hated having to meet new people, and I just never did it. And now that I'm doing it, it's become easier and easier, because every time I go to an event, whether it's yours or another one, like, it's almost like I talk to the right person every time. The right person comes up to you, or just that conversation. You're standing at a bar and somebody's standing there too, and you start a conversation, and it's always like a good connection or somebody you can work with in the future, or now somebody I could have on the show, or stuff like that. It's just so powerful. In going back to the agent part of it and the connections with the agents, I want to stress on that, just because I think there's contractors out there that just see it as greed with agents, and there is a lot of greed. And I'm not calling out every agent. There's a lot of great agents I work with, but there's a lot of greedy ones too. I have some that I've heard that put 10 builders on a list, send it to the people and say, pick one. And then as soon as they find out which builder it is, they're asking for a commission, or a referral fee. And it's just not the right thing. But with what you're doing, you're kind of creating a culture of good people that can work together, that, are almost like a business within a business too. We're all in that culture together of working, right? So that's huge right there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like at the end of the day, we have access to Google. We have access to whatever to find a list of businesses. But, it's when everything's going great, most of those businesses could check the boxes and get it done. It's when things are not going good, right? It's things when we get hiccups. And in real estate, and especially in building and contracting world, it's not a matter of if things are going to go wrong. It's when.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're putting together this masterpiece, 4,000 or 5,000 square feet masterpiece, which every little detail, things are going to go awry. There's a lot of moving parts, right? Or whatever it might be, any trade, even mortgage, title, whatever. So it's just a matter of formulating those relationships to be like, hey, I screwed up, or hey, this happened, this is on us, or this happened, it's not on us, but we're going to take it. Whatever it is, you have a better relationship to stand on before, to be able to get that deal done and move past it, right? And if you don't have those relationships in place, it's way harder to deal with problems. It starts to really blow up more than what it should. So it goes back to why those relationships are really important.
There's a quote from that book, The Agent Allies, that you passed out at that last business event that I wrote down on here. It was, you don't need 100 agents. You need 5 good ones who see you as a business partner, not just another vendor. I mean, that's huge right there. And going into what you were saying, though, too, the importance of, and I talk to realtors about this because I've seen, realtors get burnt by new builders many times, because the new builders, and so they see the fancy incentive of, we're going to give you 4% or 5% if you come to us. And, and I've seen that, and I've heard it from agents too, that are referring us because they just want a good vendor that they can rely on. They want a good builder, because if you're dealing with high-end people, this too, you got to have high-end other relationships to deal with those high-end people, because the high-end wants things to run as smooth as possible, because if they don't, it's never good. More money is more problems.
Yes, it is.
Right? So.
Yeah. And the 5 versus 100 is so relevant, right? Because if you remember what I said early on, 5 agents could be dealing with a minimum of 100, let's say, or more, right? So realistically, it's first of all easier, right? If I only need to maintain 5 really good strategic partners or relationships, however you want to look at it, I have access to 500 potential clients, right? 5 times 100, 500. Right? So if you look at it from a spiderweb standpoint, you just need to maintain that inner circle really, really good. And it will spawn and really grow, because not only is it that agent, people forget. People really forget in the real estate community, everyone's on different islands. Okay. So if, X, Y, and Z top agent, right, trusts and believes in you and is crushing it, they're going to let everyone else know, right? They're on islands. They love to be in 8,000 group chats with other agents and be at their brokerage and whatever it is, because again, they're alone, right? And so they want to find their quote unquote posse, a little group, whatever. And when they're happy, they want to share it with their people, right? And so again, that 5 will turn into 20, that will turn into 30 agents, again, top agents, well, times 100. Like you do the numbers, right? And so it doesn't take much, but it takes doing the right thing and also staying consistent. All right. You don't get these agents overnight. Sometimes it takes legit years. Okay. And sometimes you'll get them and lose them, and then you got to get them back. Right. So there's a lot of ups and downs with that.
I love what you said there too, is it does take time. And that's what a lot of people, patience is not very good these days. Let's put it that way with a lot of people. And relationships do take time to build. It's not just going to happen overnight. I mean, that's the whole thing. It goes back to trust. I mean, it's no different than us building a home. I mean, yes, we form a relationship at the beginning, but as we go, those relationships get stronger. And then after the fact, not to sound cliche, but we become friends with them, like good, close friends. I go to dinner with clients all the time. They're some of my best friends, you know, talk to them, text with them. It's just, but we maintain those relationships too as a builder. It's not just a transaction. And it goes the same with realtors too. I mean, the top realtors always maintain their relationships. So it's never just, you know, one transaction's over with and then we move on to the next. We're never going to talk to that person. They're always doing what they can to maintain the relationship. And that's where the power of what you're doing, bringing those two together and all those relationships is huge, man.
It's because you said it. You said strategic partner, right? You do, like, we use the term vendor a lot because that's what it is and that's what the industry uses. But it really is. It's a strategic partner, right? And so when you get past and you actually build relationships, you become strategic partners, not just a vendor, right? And that's where people forget. They might try you out. They might throw something to you. It's mostly just tests, different things like that. But to actually get to that level of strategic partner, that's where the doors really start opening.
I wanted to shout you out on this too, because when we first met, one thing you said is, I'm not here just to get your advertising money. I'm here to put you in rooms with people and you do the rest. You know, it's up to you how much you want to make this work for you. It's not just, I'm going to take your money and then you're going to hold my hand and take me around and say, well, this is Bill, you know, this is Bill. It's no, I'm going to get you in a room. You're going to be with the top level agents. You got to do the rest. And I respected that with you because, you know, there's magazines, there's advertising. I mean, we get hit with them all the time, of course, especially as a builder. We've advertised in quite a few of them as well. And it's all the value you take from them. And not all of them give as much value as you're giving with the big events that you're putting people in front of people. A lot of magazines don't do that. They might have a big launch event or something like that. You can do a networking thing, but with you, you're saying, here's the 500. These are the top people, the top producers. Here's my vendors that I trust. You guys go do the rest and, you know, form your relationships too, because it's up to you. It's up to you how far you want to go.
And it really is a quantity over quality over quantity mentality, right? You know, we have, I think we've lost some probably from the recent one, but there's still close to 20,000 realtors in Southwest Florida between the two counties, right? That I work and deal with. And so again, when you think about it, we're dealing with the 500. That's a small percentile, right? In each market. So I can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink. And that's exactly that's why I do state that right away, is because I want to set the expectation. And the other thing is too, is like, we really do look at Real Producers as more of a platform, right? Because as much as it is a magazine, and yes, the advertising goes towards branding and awareness, and for them to see every single time they flip the page, boom, there's Bill, there's Bill, there's Bill. All right, well, after so many times of seeing that, and then I see you at an event, and then you're shaking hands, and I see your logo on your shirt, and this, you know, it goes back to is, you know, you have to hit it 30, 40 times for them to recognize your logo and your brand and be like, I know you, and yeah, I trust you. That takes a long, long time, right? And so, yeah, it's very intentional about, all right, we're going to set up a environment for you to build relationships, but it is on you. Because I can only do so much. I can't control how you're going to talk. I can't control what you're going to say. I can't control how many drinks you're going to have. I can't control your follow-up. I can't control your quality of work. I can't control anything after that, right? I can get you in that first kind of step, but it's after you, or it's after that, and it's on you for that. So
this has been awesome. I want to wrap up with you on, kind of the future of the events, the magazine, everything that you're doing, the expansion of it, the podcast, moving forward. What's the vision? What's the long term with everything? Because you're doing a great job, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, it really comes down to, in my head, it's doubling down on what I'm kind of currently doing. Okay. I'm not looking to expand. I'm not looking to grow to the other markets, like the other coast or, up to Tampa or anything. I want to be here. I love Collier. I love Lee. I want to just create more down here. And so some of the things are smaller stuff, like that huddle that you're able to come to. Some of the partners, building relationships. We're going to do little magazine releases where we can showcase some of the people there, some more intimate ones, smaller ones. We're going to still do our big scale, large events, different things like that. Other things personally I want to keep working on is this kind of stuff, is content, right? Because people forget that the importance of how much it is, how impactful it is to be online, right? And so I want to open those doors to people. We've been doing it for some clients already through Visions Media, where we create their podcast, we get it out there, different things. But I want to double down on that. I want to have an opportunity, a space where people can come and create content and continue to grow their brand, right? One step might be a part of Real Producers, and it might not. I tell a lot of people I sit down with right away, what's your goal? Because if it doesn't align, it's not going to be a good fit, and you shouldn't spend this money, right? They're like, oh, I want to go reach 10,000 homeowners, right? I don't ever deal with realtors. They suck. Well, okay, then don't come to Real Producers, right? Like, I'm always very, very clear about that, right? So, but maybe that business wants to create some reels or create some different things and branding online and whatnot, and we can help them that way. So those are some of the goals and some of the aspirations that I want to accomplish, and I want to continue to grow myself. I'm kind of in that, we've talked about this a lot, kind of in that wellness phase of my life, and in so many ways. I'm cold plunging and, saunas and trying to eat healthy and all that kind of stuff. And we've talked about 75 hard and different things like that. So personally, I want to continue to grow some of that stuff. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Love it, brother. No, this has been awesome, man. I have no doubt, success, everything with that magazine. It's because you're just straight up, you're real about it, and just bringing in good people too. I mean, it's all what you make out of it. Hands down, it's all what you make out of it, and that's any networking event. So this has been great. And just to wrap this up, guys, obviously the routine now. Tuesdays, Thursdays, we are live at 5 p.m. So stay tuned for more great guests like Andrew, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you, and thank you, Bill. Appreciate you having me on.
The Real Build is about building better culture, leaders, visionaries, community to better serve the client. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder, and I'm here to showcase real business owners building companies with integrity, trust, and a commitment to making a positive impact. Join us as we explore their stories, insights, and strategies for success. With that being said, welcome to The Real Build.